In this edition of Foxwoods Sports Business Report, pro athletes head back to school, taking care of the business side of their game.
You make a lot of money, but you can lose it real fast.
6.9% per year will double your purchasing power every 10 years.
Professors at the Wharton School of Business usually teach future MBAs, not MVPs.
There's a long history of athletes ending up broke.
But this boxer turned business school grad says athletes need to take a lesson in personal finance or risk losing the money game.
There's so many examples today in football and basketball, guys whose entire signing bonuses have been frittered away.
How sports business classes help the pros stay in the money and avoid financial exploitation. And
if you think the baseball negotiations are a little fraudulent, what about NFL players? They've been duped out of millions over the last few years, and we'll find out why.
I am surprised that there are so many stories, that there are so many athletes that end up at the end of their careers broke. But it's attributed to them being, I think, a target for fraud, as well as basically a lot of family leeches.
One man has put together a program aimed at helping athletes protect their wealth.
There's an opportunity to really create generational wealth and pass it on. And the biceps program at Wharton is designed exclusively to show these young men how to maximize their wealth creation opportunity.
Look at how athletes are taken advantage of financially. Over the past few years, athletes have become easy targets for con artists and business scams. Leland Hardy, the financial advisor to the Williams sisters, has developed a program to help athletes manage their wealth wisely. Super Bowl champion Dave Duerson will join us to talk about athletes maximizing their celebrity. Next, a look at how professional athletes, baseball players and others can protect their money.
If you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. So we're trying to address that and show them that long-term planning for their financial future is what biceps is all about.
Welcome back. Over the last 3 years, the NFLPA has reported that NFL players have been swindled out of more than $40 million. That's just in the last 3 years alone. And these are only the ones we know about. Seems more and more with the obscene wealth that is thrust upon these athletes, they have become targets for con artists and financial scammers. So we asked, what makes these athletes such easy targets?
On this special day, they pursue the ultimate goal, football. On Sunday, the 2002 NFL Draft.
Boom, boom, boom.
The reason that young professional athletes in particular are targets for fraud and misrepresentation is that they are ill-equipped to have solid understanding of the world of business and the world of financial management. You have young people like that thrust into a situation where they're getting enormous amounts of money and are ill-prepared. Obviously, even a person that's gone to 4 years of college isn't necessarily armed properly to handle incredible wealth. And so then these people fall prey to unscrupulous people who are just looking for the opportunity to be parasites.
Each year the schemes get more elaborate, and I think the issues there is you have agents and these quote-unquote financial advisors who position themselves as surrogates, and what they try to do is tell these guys, just focus on playing, we'll handle the money. And players give power of attorney to these guys, and when it's all said and done and these guys can't play anymore, they'll probably end up with a ton of debt because they've just leveraged themselves and not even knowing it.
I am surprised that there are so many stories, that there are so many athletes that end up at the end of their careers broke. But it's attributed to them being, I think, a target for fraud, as well as basically a lot of family leeches.
Imagine these young men who are receiving $1 million every 14 days for years. So there's an opportunity to really create generational wealth and pass it on. And the biceps program at Wharton is designed exclusively to show these young men how to maximize that wealth creation opportunity.
Players are much smarter today than they were 5 years ago, but you know, it's still a small percentage of players. You can preach it and preach it, and you'll still see guys sign power of attorneys and give someone else the ability to do everything, and they'll get a monthly statement, and they're probably piled up in their glove compartment somewhere. But it's education, you know, educating the guys on their finances, helping them understand it.
In my many years of dealing with athletes, I've found that one of the things that's critical is that there has a sense of invincibility. While they're playing, you know, it's very difficult to tell anyone anything when every time you step off the practice field, you know, you have throngs of fans wanting your autograph and so on, so you can do no wrong. You know, you will never get hurt. You will never tear a knee ligament or what have you. However, it does happen. And so as a requirement, it's really mandatory that these athletes learn to prepare. It requires a great deal of planning for the long term and taking advantage of the incredible amount of money that these young men are making.
Programs like this empower athletes to be able to ask the right questions and maybe at least see potential signs of fraud. I never condone an athlete being taken advantage of, but on the same side, the athlete has to take responsibility and be diligent over their own affairs.
It becomes difficult to have them, you know, pause and step back and understand that they've got to do planning for the long haul. You know, if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. So we're trying to address that and show them that long-term planning for their financial future is what biceps is all about.
Coming up next, one of the instructors in the biceps program is two-time Super Bowl champion Dave Duerson. In the world of professional sports, not enough athletes look past their sports careers to life after the whistle stops blowing. Many succumb to bad advice and fraud, and Dave Duerson will join us when we come back. So if the biceps program is the answer to what ails today's athlete, then my next guest could be the blueprint for success. Dave Duerson played on 2 Super Bowl teams, one the Chicago Bears, another with the New York Giants. He went on to start Duerson Foods, which supplies more than 40% of the meat products to the worldwide Burger King chain. He was one of the instructors for the biceps program. He joins me now. Dave, it seems that over the last few years, NFL players have become the primary targets for fraud. What is it about this sport or the lifestyle that makes them easy prey?
Well, I think first and foremost, when you talk about the National Football League, you're talking about high-profile individuals. Their salaries are printed every day, signing bonuses and what have you. So anybody who's high net worth and high disposable income is going to be a target. And certainly in the National Football League, you see a lot of that. But that's true of all pro sports and entertainment. And you know, probably the biggest single group that gets abused would be physicians.
Interesting point. What kinds of stories have you come across over the years where athletes were given bad advice that wound up costing them money? And does the severity of them over time surprise you?
Well, you know, looking at the last 20-plus years, you know, now I'm beginning to date myself, which I still think of myself as a young man. But when I came out of Notre Dame back in '83, you know, the National Football League was doing a great deal, particularly the Players Association, to find ways to protect players. And at that point in time, you know, you always heard about giving up power of attorney. And every sports agent was coming to you with the total package that not only could they negotiate your contract, but they could handle all of your marketing endorsement opportunities, handle your tax preparation, et cetera. And for a number of these players, you know, that sounded, it sounded great. Because bottom line, somebody else was taking care of things so that they could concentrate on football. But that's the unfortunate piece, that not enough universities take the responsibility to prepare their athletes, much like a Notre Dame did for me.
Okay, let's get specific. What are some of the things an athlete can do with his popularity and his celebrity status to set himself up after his playing days are over?
Well, bottom line is a player should use his celebrity and his particular sport simply as a springboard. And that's, in fact, what I spoke about at the biceps program at Wharton. Bottom line, you always hear the story, and I heard the same thing when I came out of Notre Dame my rookie year with the Bears, that, Dave, this is as good as it gets. This is going to be your greatest windfall in terms of economics, your ability to make money. So when you leave here, things are going to go downhill. And I didn't bother to say a word, but apparently these guys didn't know who Dave Duerson was, because I had my own plan. And I can tell you that today, owning Durson Foods, I'm making far more money than I ever did in the National Football League. And so for all of these guys, whether you be an athlete playing pro sports, an entertainer, use your celebrity as a springboard to get you off into your dream. The bottom line, you cannot springboard into anything unless you have proper preparation.
Dave, you mentioned the biceps program. We heard about it earlier in the program as well. What is it about this program that makes it so unique?
Well, I say, number one, you have to talk about Leland Hardy. Here's a guy who spent some time in the world of professional boxing, went back to Wharton, got his MBA, and saw a need, and he's fulfilling it. You know, having lived it himself, he understands the dynamic of pro sports and the associations with business, and all of the things, all the downfalls associated with it, the number of guys who are out there to take full advantage of the situation. So, you know, when Leland gave me the call and asked me to come and speak on springboarding from celebrity into business, I, like Leland, you know, I grabbed at the opportunity in part because we've traveled similar paths. Myself, having played 11 years in the National Football League, then getting into private business, I got my executive MBA from Harvard. So, you know, I too recognize that this is a great need. Certainly, I think with every union within professional sports, they've attempted, as well as the professional organizations, in particular National Football League, to provide players with second career opportunities. But bottom line, the players have to take that step. And in the case of biceps, Leland believes, and I believe with him, that this should become a compulsory program, summer school for all pro sports.
Sure, it's a great concept, I understand, but as you say, it's still up to the players at the end of the day to take an interest in their future and financial well-being.
Well, at the end of the day, nobody can force a player to do anything. And certainly that responsibility falls upon that athlete himself. And any athlete who comes up with an excuse, I get frustrated because, you know, whether it be male or female in pro sports or entertainment, you know, whether it be in the movie industry or in music, one thing that each of those individuals understands or has had to deal with over the course of their professional careers is one single word: sacrifice. And if, when their professional careers are over, they no longer understand what sacrifice is about, hard work, then there's nothing I can do for them, there's nothing you can do for them. They have to shoulder that themselves.
Dave, thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And this is Foxwood Sports Business Report, the TV show that gives Metro sports fans the business side of sports. Speaking of business, the Wharton School of Business is best known for breeding MBAs, not necessarily MVPs. But today, athletes are the subject. We'll report on how the Wharton School of Business is getting into the sports business in this edition of Foxwood Sports Business Report. So stay tuned.
Heading to class at a prestigious Ivy League university. Not where you'd expect to see a pro athlete and his handlers on a hot midsummer's day. But before Green Bay Packers starting linebacker Nail Diggs packs up for preseason camp to work on his on-field moves, he's taking care of the business side of his game.
Right. How about going around? Yeah.
That's why Diggs is attending a new sports business seminar at the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School of Business. It's a program founded by Wharton graduate and former pro boxer Leland Hardy. He's best remembered for his 1989 Madison Square Garden victory over Ike Padilla.
I could say I was able to combine a lot of things that helped me become a successful boxer with my business background, and that I've learned how to be very resourceful, very resilient. You know, if you get knocked down, you've got to get back up.
Hardy had delayed his pro boxing debut for 2 years to earn a Wharton School Master's of Business Administration degree in Management and International Studies. The Philadelphia native's MBA book smarts helped him avoid the financial low blows experienced by so many of his less educated peers. After the 40-year-old hung up his gloves, his Wharton degree paved the way for a successful career as a New York City-based financial manager and investment advisor. That boxing and business combination inspired Hardy to create this Wharton Summer School for pro athletes Athletes smart enough to realize they've got to play the money game, too.
Because so many people, especially from our community, entertainers and athletes have ended up broke. Of course, you know the story of Joe Louis, who's an American hero, led us through World War II, and ended up broke for his last couple of fights just to pay off his IRS obligations. And I wanted to try to do my best to give back and educate them. And having come from the Wharton School, I know that the finest professors in the world to articulate exactly how to prevent those kind of things from happening were right here.
6.9% per year will double your purchasing power every 10 years.
The new Wharton program is called BICEPS, the Business Institute for Continuing Education in Professional Sports and Entertainment. Athletes and entertainers learn about the fine points of investing and financial planning, how the stock market works, the fundamentals of real estate, taxes, insurance, even how to use public relations to create wealth once the playing days are done.
Like, what is the real value that the bank recognizes? Do they have some sort of markup system where they make it where...
These athlete scholars put the lie to the stereotype of the dumb jock. Some of them come to the program with impressive college degrees. Jackie Frazier, daughter of Smoke and Joe, is a practicing attorney as well as a boxer in her own right. She says athletes need first-hand financial knowledge to guard against potential exploitation by ill-intentioned advisors.
The lesson is that you have to be as vigilant with your finances and your plan and the protection of your family and interests of the community as you are about the actual physical competition, because the fight really is not so much being able to show how you can dominate the other person or score, you know, the basket or hit the home run. In life, at the end of the day, when you're retired and all that, that's what really counts.
Niall Diggs earned a degree in aviation management from Ohio State, but he's smart enough to know that there's a lot he doesn't know about money management.
What does an athlete risk if they're not financially savvy?
They're risking being broke. You know, easy as that. You make a lot of money, but you can lose it real fast, and it's easy to spend it.
And you can get hurt.
And you can get hurt. You know, even let's say I have an insurance policy that is going to pay me $2 million if I get hurt, I can't play anymore. I get a $2 million check, but I don't have any financial savvy. It's going to boom. I might as well just tell them to keep the check, because it's going to go so fast that, you know, I won't even know what I probably wouldn't invest it right. I probably would just go buy cars, buy a house, you know, buy jewelry, things like that. Things that I shouldn't be buying, because that's the last check I'll probably be getting for a while, you know, and instead of thinking about the long-term kids, college, you know, it's all about now, now, now.
So after 20 years, you double again, you got 4 times as much.
That this program will be the program that is used by the sports leagues as a mandatory attendance for anyone who is drafted into their league.
Case in point, Horsley Edwards, drafted by the Sacramento Kings in June out of Central Connecticut State, where he earned a sociology degree. He's here to learn where to invest his $500,000 signing bonus.
What advice do you have for your fellow young NBA players who aren't here at Wharton today?
Oh, get a degree. Get a degree first, and then play basketball. You love the game, but make sure you have that degree so you can get a job afterwards, because basketball is not only a short-term thing. You know, you can get hurt any day. You have to have something to fall back on.
And that single dollar goes to $8.8 million in the market.
Wharton School professors typically lecture to a more buttoned-down student body, but they give pro athletes high marks for class participation and attentiveness.
They're very bottom line, very practical. They say what's on their mind. They're not afraid to do that, which is good. I mean, I like to be challenged. I like questions. It's much better than someone just accepts it. I mean, these people are there because I think they want to be there. They don't have to be there.
Siegel's the author of the best-selling Stocks for the Long Run. His bottom line: the stock market remains the best place to invest over the long haul, even in the face of sharp roller coaster swings. But professional athletes could see their careers cut short by injury. That's the main reason Siegel recommends a more conservative investment strategy.
Planning for the future, I would probably put about half of it into municipal bonds and the other half into into stocks, safe stocks, good stocks, dividend-paying stocks, and other corporate bonds.
The athletes receive complimentary copies of their professors' published works. The entire cost of the program is picked up by corporate sponsors, led by the Japanese automaker Nissan.
See you later.
The car company benefits by using the event to scout out potential auto dealer franchisees. That business opportunity requires a multi-million-dollar investment, making pro athletes prime prospects.
The amount of money that they make a year, they need a vehicle to invest in. They have a reputation with their names, and that would carry through to the business. And if we can get them acclimated to what they need to know as far as the business, or they can find a good management team to run that store, it should all work for them.
No coursework here on whether investing in a car dealership poses the same degree of risk or reward as investing in the stock market.
The average annual after-inflation rate of return.
But the athletes say they scored some valuable information at this Wharton summer camp. The knowledge to make sound financial decisions on their own, and to know when they're at risk of falling victim to bad financial advice. Next up on Foxwood Sports Business Report.
Well, that's it for this edition of Foxwood Sports Business Report. We'll be back again next month. Until then, I'm Vic Livingston, reminding you to be a good sport, but keep taking care of business.